Well, it is the WFMY News 2 weather impact alert here that we're tracking for you. It's our winter storm. We've been talking about it all week long, and now we're really in the middle of it, closing into that second half of the system. And yeah, it's been a pain over the last couple of hours to see what's been happening, right? Earlier in the day, it all started around 1 to 2 o'clock with a big, beautiful burst of some snow. And if you're a snow lover, this is something we haven't seen in a while. It really was coming down, not just lightly, but heavily for a while too, coating everything in sight. We got some big accumulations. Unfortunately, had some big problems on the roadways, which do still linger through the night. But what happened around 7 to 8 o'clock for many of us is that all of that snow stopped happening and we've switched over to sleet. So we're starting to see that storm take on a different flavor. And at this point, it's more of an icy one and less of a snowy one. Our alert does continue into tomorrow because, well, this is still going to continue several more hours and those roads are going to be tough all the way through early tomorrow morning. We're still seeing mostly a sleet, snow, ice mix across the area. More in the way of sleet and ice and less in the way of snow. So you want to be avoiding that travel as best you can. And if you have to be out, I get it. You might have to be doing things or go to work or something like that. Just make sure to use extreme caution. I do want to show you what happened earlier, so I'm going to step out of the way and I'll be back. This is what we're seeing earlier today. We'll start at around 3 o'clock. Notice all that snow falling down and you can kind of see the clouds kind of moving about as well. And then toward the nighttime hours, we started to see some of that sleet and ice coat the cameras, and you can see how it's a little bit icy out there at this time. That's something we're going to monitor through the rest of this storm. So going through the rest of this evening and into the overnight hours, that's what we'll want to be watching for from now until about 2 to 3 a.m. Hey, these are snow reports as of about 9 o'clock, and there have been some big winners, and this might make you jealous. I understand if you're in the Triad, but our northernmost communities really cashed in so far. Mayodan about 4 inches up in Rockingham County. Toast up in Surrey, 4.5 inches up that way. Mount Airy about 5 inches just north of town, even closer to 6 in some of those spots. Now, a little closer to home, we're seeing more in the lines of 1 to 1.5 and 2 inches of snow. But hey, that 1 inch total in Greensboro, look what that did. That brought us to an ending this streak of not having any 1 inch snowfalls. The last time we did that was back in 2022 on January 29th. So it's been 1,077 days without 1 inch of snow falling on a single day, but we did that today. And there's still probably a little bit more to come to that total. We haven't heard just yet. 25 degrees, 26 degrees, 27. It's cold out here, certainly going to continue to be that way through much of the rest of the evening. That's a bit of a problem because, like I said, with still some rain and freezing rain falling across parts of the area, we could get a bit of an icy glaze developing. That's a live look as of that 9 o'clock hour over Winston-Salem. In Greensboro, notice plenty of snow out there, but the clarity does represent a switch over to less snow, more sleet, and some of that freezing rain too. This is a big weather system. So when we talk about this weather system, it's not just a Carolinas storm. It's really one that moved across much of the country, going from Texas to Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, you name it. It's been there, and we're seeing this system on a wide scale. That pinkish color represents a winter storm warning. Consider we haven't had one of those in about 3 years, and now look how widespread it was for this weather system. Atlanta cashed in with a lot of snow earlier today, and they're just now finishing up. Most of the storm ended up being a little bit rainy toward the rest of the day, but they started with a snow burst. Just like we did, they just ended up getting a little bit more of it. Now, there is still more to this storm. If you're watching now at 9 o'clock and you're saying, what can I expect for the rest of the night? Overall, most of the snow is done for us. I can't say for sure that you won't get any more, though. We are getting a couple of reports of some snow redeveloping in the foothills. Now, that would be good news and honestly a little surprising to me. I say surprising just because what we saw is that all of this snow here actually started to transition and fall as sleet. Once you switch over to sleet, that represents some warm air coming in above the ground. Usually, you don't switch back. If you switch over to sleet, you kind of stay that way through the rest of the storm, either sleet or freezing rain. So to switch back to snow, like is being reported in parts of the area, well, that would be surprising. And I think it would be a good thing. It would be nice to get a little bit more snow out of this, and we certainly don't want to add up the ice problems across our area. There has been a lot of sleet, though, represented by some of those brighter colors on our dual polarized radar. All you need to know looking at this images are that the yellows and the blues, they represent some of those icy pellets coming on down, and that's what we saw a lot of the late evening hours across our area. As far as snow totals go, you know, this is still a living document here. As we go throughout the rest of this evening, it does appear that it'll be less than an inch from Asheboro south, a little bit of around an inch for places like Lexington, High Point, and Greensboro, Winston-Salem, more on the lines of 2 inches or so, even a little bit less in some cases. Farther off to the north, the big winners, as we said, closer to that Virginia border, right around 4, 5, even 6 inches at times, and the snow is still falling, by the way, so that's pretty impressive. Here's a little bit of our concern the rest of the night, though. We have from 9 until about 2 to 3 a.m. with still some precipitation, so about 6 hours left. What could we see in terms of glazing of ice, freezing rain? We didn't talk all that much about it leading up to the event, but it has been more present than we were expecting. And so what do we make of that? Well, I kind of adjusted these contours a little bit for a reason. I do think it's possible to pick up a glaze to maybe as much as 1/10 of an inch of ice across Winston-Salem, Greensboro, Lexington, Burlington, and Reedsville. So that's a little bit of an adjustment upward there. Farther off to the south, this pinkish category from Asheboro to Troy over to Charlotte, Sanford, Durham, Raleigh included in that, Siler City. Well, you could pick up a bit more. It could be more along the lines of 1/10 of an inch to maybe as much as 1/4 of an inch. And that's kind of a magic number when it comes to ice. If you get to that 1/4 inch range, usually that's where the weight of the ice is heavy enough to start to weigh things down. Tree branches, power lines, those type of things can start to get weighed down by that amount of ice. So we hope that's not the case, but it is possible there could be a couple of scattered power outages in those areas if you get enough of that to accrete overnight tonight. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Let's take a look at our computer model. This is going to be the HRR, the Rapid Refresh model is the one I'm using here. It shows pretty accurately where the sleet and freezing rain had been falling around 9 to 10 o'clock or so in the evening. As we go throughout the rest of the night, it does still give us a chance of more sleet and freezing rain, but also a chance of a little bit of snow still moving in. Is that to be believed? Well, I'm not so sure just yet. I'd be skeptical of more snow at this point, but it would be nice if it happened. It gives us that chance through 1 and 2 a.m., and then the backside, that drier air is starting to arrive by 2, and then by 3 and 4, pretty much all of us should start to be dry at that point. It's icy out there, it's snowy out there, the roads are covered. At this point, if you're safe at home and you're cozy, just stay put. I'd linger a little while tomorrow morning too, especially if you have a hilly neighborhood. There are going to be some roads and some hills that are not easy to cross up tomorrow morning because of that iciness on there. So as we go throughout the overnight, that snow, sleet, ice mix does continue. The travel stays pretty difficult. Saturday morning, snow and sleet ending, of course, as we said, around 3 to 4 a.m. is really when they should be mostly over. But the sun will come out. And with the sun coming out tomorrow, I really would encourage you to get after it when it comes to shoveling up, cleaning up your mess outside, because it's going to be really difficult to move it once it really solidifies and really refreezes. We're going to have temperatures right around 38 to 40 tomorrow afternoon, but with full sunshine, that actually does make a difference when you're moving some of that around. And so I hope that you'll take that advantage, because we're going down to about 20 degrees by Sunday morning. By the way, this has been a huge traffic nightmare. These are the traffic maps as of 9 o'clock across the region. Notice how slow going it is around the urban loops, Bryan Boulevards, those type of places in Greensboro. Alamance County, very slow going along I-40 as well. A little bit easier in Burlington, just not as much winter weather. Forsyth County, very slow along Salem Parkway, 52, Highway 40 as well. Just kind of been a mess for a long time. And unfortunately, as always is the case, we do have a lot of wrecks that have been reported to us here at the station. Bottom line, roads are a problem, and they're going to stay that way for a while as we go through the rest of the night. Most of the rain, snow, and sleet is all ending by about 3 to 4 a.m. Could you get a little bit more accumulation? Yeah, you could, but I wouldn't count on it when it comes to pretty snowfall. Unfortunately, it's kind of the nasty ice at this point. For the rest of the forecast, look how cold it is. Every morning is stuck right there around 20 degrees, which means those side streets and neighborhood roads, they could be a bit messy for a long while. Even into early next week, we could have those icy conditions across the Triad. We'll keep you posted, and we'll have another update for you coming up at 10.